Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast. My name is Nate. Joining me as always is my co-host Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good, Nate. Definitely some interesting action on the PGA Tour where the winds were just howling. And I was saying to you before the podcast, the scores were crazy. I didn't turn on the broadcast before I saw some of my guys at like 5 or 6 over. I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Turned out to be a clear wave advantage that I could not take advantage of to save my life. My highest guy on the PGA Tour was Jonathan Bird, so that says everything you need to know about it. But I I'm going to be the first to congratulate you on Matt Fitzpatrick on the DP World Tour. Good call there. I was on him the week before, took my finger off the button, and as you'd expect, he wins the following week. But I'm glad that you were on him. I'll let you take the mic here for the DP World Tour side.
Yeah, fun event, right? That leaderboard was insane going to that final day. It was who was it? Rory and Daniel Hillier. Who had the lead with
Yep.
Rory? Was it going to the final day? And then there was like 13 people that were T2, one shot back. And yeah, Matt Fitzpatrick got the lead, go in the clubhouse with the lead. I think over two by two. And then of course Rory comes out and eagles 18 in Rory fashion. At that point, I'm like, all right, I'm done, waste of my time again. Here we go. I'm getting ruined again. And then yeah, go to a par five and Rory bogeys and Matt Fitzpatrick pars to win the DP World Tour Championship. Not a huge number, but 16 in a 50-man field. That's enough meat in the bone there. The four-man card got it done there. So my DP World Tour season has not been great. It's such a hard tour to cap. We've been over this 100
Yeah.
times. And so yeah, I did lose some money in the tour overall, but three winners there, so I'm happy with that. Got myself closer to even with that victory. But yeah, a good event there. And of course, you mentioned the Butterfield Bermuda Championship, man. Those wins, and I had Takimi Kanaya at 60 to 1, took it to the final hole, had that eagle to get within one, and needed, or excuse me, birdie on 17 to get within one, and then just too little, too late. And Adam Schenk, he played the best golf imaginable at that event in that final day through everything because he made like no mistakes. Despite the wind, everyone else that was chasing him or around him or took the lead, faltered back. And I think it was like Brandon Thornberry at one point, like had the lead, and then he finished like 6 strokes off the lead. He had like a double bogey three stretch hole. It was insanity. Like it was kind of fun to watch, right? Because they were just struggling. And Chandler Phillips mentioned it was the hardest round of golf he's ever played in his life. 30 plus mile per hour winds on every single hole that day. It was something to watch. Tracked it the entire day, of course, and not be able to get across the finish line, but had a few in contention there. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. We move on to the final event officially of the PGA Tour season. Of course, we have like the Hero Challenge after this, and that Grant Thornton situation if you ever want to look into that. But this is the quote unquote connect cap to the 2025 season. This is it. So a lot to play for a lot of these guys, right? You have people fighting for their PGA Tour cards with the top 100 conditional cards at 125, and then people are going to lose their status. And there's some big names. There's some big names to lose some status here right quick. Some exceptions, saving some people like Max Homa, in a vacuum would be losing his card if it wasn't for exemptions from previous victories, and some people like that. So there's gonna be a lot of shake up here. And then, yeah, DP World Tour, we saw our top 10 promotions come on in. Had some debates about that on Twitter myself. That's neither here nor there on this podcast. And then, yeah, we're off for only 1 week of the DP World Tour. The new season starts next week. They give no rest over there. We head to Australia next week. So we'll be sure to talk about that next week on the pod. But this week, the RSM Classics, what we're going to cap this week. Go over all of that before we do. How many things, Jake? We're putting on social media.
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman on Twitter. My PGA Tour card for the RSM Classic is already up there, so feel free to take a look at that. Also be sure to join our Discord, completely free to join. Reach out to Nate or myself, and we'll get you the link to join that. No hidden paywalls once you're in there. You have access to all the channels. So it's a great resource to have at your fingertips, even if you just want to check it out for a week or two. We invite you in, but we would love to have you stay. A lot of great people in there, a lot of great information, not just Nate and myself touting our, articles and information and stuff that we have. There's a lot of knowledgeable people in there who do their own handicapping. We have great debates in there and conversations about different players and courses. So again, so much information at your fingertips, completely free offered to you. Just reach out to us. Also, Nate runs the community wager tracker where you get to post your plays. Nate gets to organize them all. And at the end of the week and during the tournaments, we could see, what people are on what players. And at the end of the week, hopefully congratulating multiple people on hitting victories across all tours and wagers in golf. So again, be sure to reach out to us and we will get you the link to get you in there.
Again, free tool at your fingertips. There's no reason not to check it out. Jake and I post exclusive plays. Jake with his matchups, me and my first round leaders, or various smaller tours throughout there. You can find that. If you want to first look at my bets as well, I post them first on the Discord before they're even on the articles on the podcast. And I don't post my cards thoroughly on Twitter until like seconds before tee off, just so again need those clicks, right? So that's why I do that. But yeah, if you want, first look at my card the second I place my bets, my card is posted on there. That's an incentive as well. He mentioned the community tracker. If you post anything from the PGA Tour to Q School, first stages, like if you post in there, I'll put on the tracker and we'll go through and congratulate each other and help each other across the finish line. And in the same sense, hopefully not jinx each other. I check that often before I get in there to post anything about any golfer throughout the week. Just make sure no one in our community is on that. But again, free to play. Some NASCAR stuff in there as well with or Devin and Cody. So yeah, some great stuff there as well. So be sure to check that out. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. You can follow Out of the Rough on all social medias at various handles. I don't know them off the top of my head. I got to memorize them for this new introduction here, but they are there as well. And then our website is ootrough.com. On there, some great information exclusive to Out of the Rough. We have strokes game putting per grass type for the PGA Tour. Quietly in the background, I'm trying to get caught up and post a DP Roll Tour strokes game putting per grass type. It's rather extensive, but I'm working on that as well. So hopefully that can get out to the public soon. We have the one and done, which right now we're running through the PGA Tour FedEx Cup Fall for a small one, but that will be back in full force for next week or next season's PGA Tours opening at the Sony Open in Hawaii. And that's prizes for grabs. That's each and every week. That's really fun as well. We always have over 100 people plus in that. And this year, for the first time, I run in a DP World Tour one. So next week, I'll be posting that for Australia to begin things off. So that's new as well. Beyond that, you can find all of our articles, my breakdowns each every week, the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, LPJ, and Live. Full breakdowns of my full betting cards throughout the Corn Ferry Tour, Hotel Planet Tour. You can find Andrew at All Tour Golf Bets. His articles will be there. And then this week, we have a LET Ladies European Tour breakdown by our friend Craig Thompson there. Thorough, great information, ton of information on that article as well. So be sure to check that out and give him a look as well. A lot of information and work went into that. All right. Well, that's it for that part. So let's hop into the RSM Classic, our cap to the 2025 PGA Tour season. And yeah, it's an interesting one. It's one of those two venue events that I'm not too fond of, but we have to deal with it, right? We mentioned a lot about this event. So historically speaking, this used to be like a laid back end of the season vacation to the Isles of Georgia, just hanging out, and having a good time. But now, with the added incentives of the FedEx Cup Fall, the pressure is as high as any, arguably this week. Mentioned it before. The top 100 of the FedEx Cup standings come Sunday will receive full exemption for the 2026 season. Those in the top 125 will are 100 to 101 to 125. Excuse me. Will receive conditional PGA Tour status for 2026. And then, yeah, there's also the Aon top 10 swing playing for places in the first two signature events. So, a ton of information and a lot of stuff up for grabs as well. If you're looking for the full, breakdown of that, be sure to visit the PGA Tour's website to see who is where. But the field this week, so outside of the Pro Core, where we saw 11 of the 12, Team USA members teeing it up that week, this is the best field we've seen so far across the fall. Harris English, world number 13, is the highest ranked member of the OWGR. We'll see Brian Harman, 32, Andrew Novak, 33, Michael Brennan, 40, Sam Stevens, 48, and Ryan Gerard, 49 of those ranked in the top 50 of the OWGR in this week's field. So in all, 29 golfers in the top 100 of the OWGR were teeing it up this week. So we talked about this top 100 extensively. Currently, the first five within the top 100 cut line are Thorburn Olson, Danny Walker, Michael Brennan, Takimi Kanaya, and Carl Phillips. The first five out are Max Homa, Matt Wallace, Bo Hostler, Isaiah Salinda, and David Lipsky. The first five within the top 125 are Jackson Suber, Lee Hodges, Lanto Griffin, Frankie Cap in the third, and Doug Gim. And the first five out are Brent Snetker, Alex Noren, Carson Young, Seamus Power, and Hayden Springer. Maverick Neely used this event a season ago to claim his first and maiden PGA Tour victory. He topped Daniel Berger, Luke Clan, and Nico Echevarria by one stroke to do so. He will be back this week to defend his title. He will not be back. Maverick Neely is not back this week. But each of the last four winners of the event, that includes McNeely, you had Ludwig Oberg in 2026, Adam Svensson in 2022, and Taylor Gooch in 2021, used this event to claim their first PGA Tour title. Since this tournament's inception in 2010, 10 of the top 15 winners won their first PGA Tour title here. So 10 of the 15 winners of this event use this as their maiden victory. Former winners team this week include Svensson, Robert Streb, who won it twice, Tyler Duncan, Mackenzie Hughes, Kevin Kishner, Kevin Kirk, and Tommy Gainey. The this week's the RSM Classic is played at two separate courses that we mentioned: the Sea Island at Sea Island Golf Club. We have the Plantation Course and the Seaside Course. In rotation across the first 2 days, those who make the cut play the Seaside Course for the final 2 days across the weekend. So the Seaside Course, we have a par 70 at 7,005 yards, originally made up of two separate nine-hole courses. The first nine-hole course was designed by Colton Allison in 1929, and the second was added in 1973 by Joe Lee. The Seaside Course was created in 1999 when Tom Fazio combined those two nine-hole courses. This track, positioned right on the southern tip of St. Simons Island, is described as a seaside links style venue with Bermuda grass throughout. Consists of two par fives, four par threes, 12 par fours, and of the par fours, 10 of them play under 450 yards. The most difficult hole at the Seaside Course is the par 4 14th that plays at 442 yards, has a scoring average of 0.1 strokes over par. Being on the coast, the course is susceptible to very windy conditions, of course. However, if the doesn't become a factor, this course can play rather easy. Sebastian Munoz opened the 2021 renewal of this event with a 10 under par 60, the Seaside Course. So, of course, this course's biggest line of defense is the wind. The Plantation Course plays at the par 72 at 7,060 yards. It was originally designed by Walter Travis in 1929. It was renovated in 1998 by Rees Jones. It was then revamped in 2019 by Love Golf Design. Following the modifications in 2019, 153 yards were added, and the course was made more difficult overall. The par 5 eighth hole was the only hole unchanged during that renovation. The course is described as a quote unquote parkland by the sea. Much like what we see at Torrey Pines rotation of the North and South courses, golfers must capitalize on the easier Plantation course during the first of their round at that course on the two opening days. The Plantation course has an average scoring of 1.6 under par, as a Seaside course has a scoring average of 0.9 strokes under par, so almost a full stroke swing between the two golf courses. Weather looks fine this week. Not much to talk about there, but Jake, anything to add before we move forward?
Yeah, I think just one thing to talk about, Nate, how are you viewing some of these guys who, are these seaside or like, these seaside natives, it feels like, to this golf course who haven't teed it up all fall swing, who are making their appearance. So like Harris English, Harmon, Poston, the bigger names in this field. How are you treating them?
When it comes to fall golf, I feel like form is a thing to really tone into, especially at this point with so many people playing with desperation for the PGA Tour life. I think it's hard to roll off. I know not rolling off the couch. Of course, they're playing golf every single day of their lives, training and whatnot. But that's completely different than playing competitive golf. So I give an advantage to those grinding it out throughout the fall series, playing in form. If the names are a little bit better, like Harris English, doesn't really do much for me. Same with Brian Harmon at this point in his career. JT Poston, I know, is heavily toted this week, especially being a native of the area. But these guys are simply just playing the course because it's in their backyard, essentially. Don't have to
Yep.
go anywhere, and they can kind of roll out of bed, stay at home, and golf. But I think it's more of a formality for these guys, more so than them coming out here and winning these events.
Yeah, I agree. I completely ruled them out of my shortlist player pools. Like I couldn't find my way to getting on any of them. And like more names like Denny McCarthy and
Hmm.
Siwoo Kim, like these are big names, and I feel like it juiced some of the odds of these guys who are just
It does,
grinding it out. So I feel like there's a really good opportunity this week. I mean, now that we're talking about it, I'm sure one of these top dogs are
of
just gonna,
course.
get it done. But I think that there's definitely a lot of meat on the bone as we start to dive into our cards here.
Yeah, I think this is completely different than to like say the likes of JJ Spawn and Ben Griffin in Mexico, at 3, 4 weeks ago, whatever that was. That still wasn't that far removed from their, competing at the Ryder Cup and all of that. We're still 3, 4 weeks removed from that event, right? It's been a bit of a time since we've been in Mexico. So I think it's completely different opposed to those guys teamed up where Ben Griffin, of course, went on to win in Mexico. But again, that wasn't like a home course. That was an obligation to be there as the Worldwide Technology Ambassador of the PGA Tour. But either way, I think it's completely different. And at this point, Ben Griffin's a tier above anyone in this field by far.
Yeah, and with all due respect to Harris English, even though he did play the Ryder Cup, he was absolutely abysmal. So Ben Griffin is and JJ Spawn, both of them
Yes,
were coming in on different form, played really well at the Ryder Cup. So I'm we're on the same page here. I We'll
100%.
dive into our cards here. We've got two layovers, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, like I said, they didn't give him. I mean, for one, they didn't pop in my model. And even if they
Yeah.
did, I would have skipped over because I'm not playing Harris English in the teens. And I think uh, Brian Harmon was 30 at the Open. I'm not sure where he's at now. Again, he's done nothing for the last 2 years since he won the Open, right? Did okay when he played in India on the DP World Tour. Again, that was a long time ago at this point. And then, the likes of like Siwoo Kim, who's played some DP World Tour events as well. I just, quite frankly, I just ruled Siwoo out of winning a golf event until a putter can be found because he's not winning until that happens. And
Yep.
again, I say that on this pod, he's going on to win this week. But either way, let's hop on the card. I am one guy short because I had Victor Perez on my card, and he, of course, the news broke today. The massive signing of Victor Perez, world number 122, making his way to the Live Golf Tour to play for the Clickers, I think. Um, so yeah, he's off my card. I'll probably find a replacement tonight. I just didn't have time before we did this podcast. So I have five guys. He was six, Jake. So to make things kosher, let's kick things off with your first guy, which I
Yep.
think is a crossover.
No, actually, I got someone before, so it'll
Okay.
work out nicely for us. But my first guy here is Vince Whaley at 45 to
Yes.
1. He's very popular this week, but he really checks every single box I was looking for. He was my first click. He's coming in on improved form throughout the fall swing. Um, you know, Bank of Utah Championship, he finished 37th, Worldwide Technology 17th, and then at the Butterfield Bermuda Championship, he finished T3. So improved form over the course of the swing season. Also, same deal at the RSM Classic. He's teed it up uh, 5 times here, where he's improved each time. 63rd in 2022, a 13th in 2023, and then an 8th in 2024. He brings everything I'm looking for this week: distance off the tee, some solid irons, and an elite short game. Um, I, he just checked every box for
Mhm.
me. I was happy to take him at 40. I got him at 45, so I can't complain there. But he's topping my card off this week, and I hope he can get his first PGA Tour victory, which seems to be a good omen at this course as well, too.
100%. Yeah, Vince Whaley was on my short list, no doubt about that. Played him a few times throughout the season, mainly at, one-off events or alt-field events where Vince Whaley was teeing up. But if you look at his record, he's a very, very good fall swing golfer. He has a great record across the fall. Again, checks every box that you want for this golf course. And again, he was on my short list, so uh, just didn't make my card. So there's that.
Yep.
All right, my first play is our first crossover of the two, I believe, and that's
Yep.
Pearson Cootie, who I've been on heavily this fall swing. Again, I played him at a much shorter number last week, so might as well go back to him here. Played him at a really small number for a guy just recently promoted from the Corn Ferry Tour, but that field last week was abysmal. But this is a guy who is third on tour in birdie or better, can pour him in when needed. He's fourth in par four, scoring 11th in green regulations, 14th in scrambling, 61st in hit fairway, 87th in putting on Bermuda, 120th in approach, and 130th in approximate hole from 100 to 175. It is worthy to note that the last two events, or three events even, on the PGA Tour don't have strokes gained data. So, those approach numbers and all that could be better than what that number is suggesting at this point because simply the last three events weren't tracked, at a great finish in a few of those events. Speaking of which, let me see. 22nd last week at Bermuda, 31st in the worldwide in Mexico, third at the Bank of Utah Championship, and 14th at Sanderson Farm Championship across the swing. Here, of course, recently got his card via Corn Ferry Tour promotion. So yeah, I'm a big fan of his game. I think it can translate to any golf course, right? It's not just he has a
Yep.
ton of power off the tee. He can really, really hit the ball. But what he does, he has a combination, right? We talk about it all the time of distance and accuracy. Of course, these are accuracy type events, shorter golf courses. The par 72 even is shorter at the other, the plantation. But either way, if you can hit the ball far and straight at this golf course, find yourself without trouble, and that's what Pearson Cootie does. I talked about it in the last podcast. His approach numbers are improving from what we've seen. We don't have traditional strokes and data across the last few events here, but he has been improving with those irons. Love to see that, and then I think this is a guy who's going to win on the PGA Tour sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm with you on him. And when you think of some of the previous winners, Maverick McNeely, Ludwig Aberg, to name two of them,
Mm-hmm.
What do they do well? It's the
Hmm.
same driver that Pearson Coody brings in the bag. He could also pour it in with the putter, like you mentioned. It'll all come down to the irons. If he can give himself enough opportunities to make, short range putts, he's going to be able to pour it in and take down this tournament. So I was able to get him at 50 to 1.
Love
Again,
it.
he's a three-time Corn Ferry Tour winner, get to win on the PGA Tour. So I think that this is a really good opportunity for him. And he's fairly popular this week. It would not surprise me at all if he gets it done, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he made it on the wheel. I know a guy I'll talk about here probably next has. But either way, yeah, got again, he's a different type of Corn Ferry Tour player. He played a ton of PGA Tour events prior to like sponsor exemptions. Again, we talked about last podcast with his twin brother Parker, kind of broke on the scene with that. Kind of the cool thing to promote there. But either way, love his game. I think it translates well. Since we had crossover there, Jake, I'll just roll my next guy to keep things in line. No, you would go next,
No.
anyways. Yeah.
Yep. I'll hit my next guy here.
Try to do
So it's
math
Mac
here.
Meissner.
Not.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. Mac Meisner here, 70 to 1. I took a very hard, long look at Thorbjorn Olesen this
Mhm.
week. I wanted a 40. It didn't get there, and I was a little disappointed. But as I was scrolling down the board, I said, who brings a very similar style, or as I like to say, the Walmart version of Thorbjorn Olesen? And I think that's Mac Meisner here. 70 to 1 is a huge number. He's played fairly well over this swing season. He has 27th place finishes at both the Utah Championship and the Bay Current. He also finished 14th at the Sanderson. He drives the ball very nicely. Over the swing season, it's been phenomenal, both distance wise and accuracy wise. The approach numbers have been incredible over the last couple months as well. I need this guy to start making some putts. His around the green game is really competent as well. He has not played this tournament before. He also does not have a PGA Tour victory. So I'm kind of just running in on some good form on a guy who does everything about average or above average. So again, it's the Thorbjorn Olesen I looked at, and Mac Meisner I fell on at more than double the odds here.
Do love the comparison there. They do play a similar game, and Thorborn's a guy I've been on a ton this swing season. Didn't get to him this week. Didn't think it translated perfectly with the numbers of a few other guys around him, but love the play. And again, when you think of fall golf of the last at least 2 seasons, Mac Miser's a name that really pops. He was kind of the joke last year. I bet him almost every single event across the fall series last year. Haven't I think maybe I bet him once this fall series, but either way, a good click there nonetheless. My next play here is one of the most popular. I think he's up to second on the most tip chart. My first click this week, Nico Echevarria at 50 to 1. I just think that's a great talent to be in the middle levels of this field. You talked about it. Those those locals who hopped in here, Harris English and the likes, really drove some of these numbers up. Because without the Harris Englishes of the world, we're talking Nico in the 30s, maybe even 20s of this field. So I'm glad to have him at 50 again. First click, that number was rather big, but beyond that, 46 last week in Bermuda, 14th of the worldwide, 9th of the Bay Current. He also played this event each of the past 3 seasons, a runner-up a season ago, 44th in 2023, missed a cut in 2022. But on tour, he's 6th on tour in strokes gained putting in Bermuda, 30th in birdie or better, 55th in hit fairways, 78th in approach, 87th in green regulations, 80th in proximate hole from 100 to 175, 95th in scrambling, 120th in par fours. So he checks the box, man. That guy can putt on Bermuda with the best of them. He gets good birdies, finds fairways, has some good approach numbers above average there. Some good form coming this week, and just a big number for a guy that, multiple time winner on the PGA Tour and get it done this week very rather easily. Again, runner up here a season ago as well.
Yeah, I love the call. He was on my short list. If you take out the 76 on Saturday from him at the Butterfield Bermuda, it's a much better result than that T46 that shows in some good swing season form. Also finished runner-up at this event last year, like you mentioned. So definitely a good shout. I think the number has enough meat on the bone to go there.
There we go. All right, what's next here, Jake?
My next play here is our next crossover, which is Semi Valimaki at
Yes.
70 to 1. I've been on this guy so much throughout the year that given the recent form, I'm obviously going to be on him again. He brings a very similar profile to Nico here at, 20 points higher. He's hitting fairways. The irons have been scorching, scorching,
Hmm.
scorching hot, and the putter can get absolutely hot as well. I think that this is a really good opportunity for Sammy. Um, he played on the DP World Tour back at the end of August, where he had two really good finishes at the Danish and the Omega European Masters. came back to the States to play on the PGA Tour where he missed the cut at the Pro Tour in Sanderson. But since then, he made the, well, actually, he finished like dead last at the Bay Current, but then a runner-up at the Worldwide Technology Championships, a T18 last week at the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. In some good form, this guy can scorch with the irons and drain putts and hit fairways, and that's the recipe to success at the RSM. He has not played this tournament before. He also does not have a PGA Tour victory yet, but he's a two-time DP World Tour champion at 70 to 1. That number is way too big on him.
Hmm.
He is, in my opinion, if you're taking anything away from this podcast, if you're making one bet, I think the biggest value here, in my opinion, is Sammy Valimaki.
My gosh, yeah, you look at this. This is a guy who's 18th on all of the PGA Tour on approach. He's 26th in strokes gained putting in Bermuda, 40th birdie or better, 45th in those short irons we talked about, 51st green in regulations. He's 57th in par fours, 80th in scrambling, 94th in hit fairways. Playing some great golf as of late, and he's a guy that you know he can have that one massive round that really propels him into contention. We see it all the time out of Sammy Valimaki. It would be fantastic to see the Finnish guy get across the finish line here after, again, you've been on him. I think this is maybe my first time on him all season, maybe second if I look back. Haven't been on as much as you have, but 70 was a huge, huge number. Like, I couldn't ignore that number, nonetheless.
Yep, crazy number, honestly. I
It
can't
really
believe,
is.
and
I
I
can't believe
think
he's
it's
not in the
still
most
up
tip
at
chart.
60.
Like, I can't believe he's
Yeah,
not there.
well, Nate, hopefully it's an out of the rough exclusive one that we can help some people get on.
There we go. All right. So,
I've got
yeah,
two left.
I got two left as well.
Perfect.
All right. You want me to go? Or you want to go here?
You can go.
All right. I'll go with my first of two long shots. It's Lee Hodges at 125 to 1. Statistically, this guy should be competing this event. He is 16th on tour in green regulations. He's 21st in scrambling, 23rd in par fours, 29th on approach, 31st in hit fairway, 40th approximate hole from 100 to 175, 76 in birdie or better, 81st in strokes gained putting Bermuda. That is all the stats I took into consideration this week. All top 81 or better. The form isn't great. I'm not going to lie to you, but he's made the cut in four of his last five events, each within the FedEx Cup fall. 61st in Bermuda, 40th in Mexico, missed the cut in Utah, 40th in the Bay Current, 30th in Sanderson. He also placed fifth here a season ago, so some good course form as well. Played this event in 2022 where he missed the cut and placed 57th in 2021. Currently 122 in the FedEx Cup standing, so if he wants a PGA Tour card for next season, he needs a victory. I don't think there's any way around it. I don't know what the math would do if he took second or third at this event, but a victory would guarantee a PGA Tour card nonetheless with the 2 year exemption from winning on top of cracking the top 100. Desperately needs it, and stats tell me this guy is going to compete this golf event. 125 to 1 popped really high my model. So Lee Hodges, it's back to Lee Hodges here.
Yeah, if you run your model with some longer term data, he pops for sure. The shorter term data is what's a little
Yes.
scary, but you're getting him at triple digits in a fall swing event. I love the shout on him. I think it's a good long shot.
All right. Who's your next guy?
My next guy should come as no surprise. It's Sahith Theegala,
Mhm.
75 to 1. Getting a bigger number than last week, and I'm happy to throw last week out considering how crazy the wins were. He opened with a opening round 76, rallied on Friday to make the cut with a 65 to play the weekend here. Sahith is back healthy. Again, I mentioned this last week. He finished 27th or 38th at the Pro Court, 27th back to back at the Bay Current and the Utah Championship, and then 42nd last week, where I just mentioned he rallied to make the cut. He's fully healthy. He had a horrible season. There's no hiding from that. But he finished runner up at this event last year, and he's a guy that when things are going right, he's putting his approach shots close to the hole, draining putts, and he is taking down the field. He is not scared to back down from anyone. A bunch of runner-up and top five finishes throughout his PGA Tour career. He has one victory, which came in 2023 at the Fortinet Championship. I think that this is a good opportunity for Theegala just on a talent basis. And at 75 to 1, that is a huge number for a guy like me who is almost going to blindly back him at this point.
Yeah, 75 to 1 in a fall series event of this nature for Sahith Gala is insanity. Again, I look at it just because of pure talent standpoint alone. I'm not one who's backed him, for years here, so I didn't get to it because, the stats don't tell me to. But either way, man, you're talking pure talent in this field. He is, when he is on, he's the best golfer in this field. I'd argue with anyone, even over Harris English
Yeah.
or anything of that nature. So I love to play, and you got to back your guys.
Yep.
All right, we're going real long for my final one. I'm not sure if it's as long as yours. final one. But we're going Ben Coles at 250 to 1, 147th in the FedEx Cup standing. So again, even without a victory, he's not even getting conditional status. So he needs a huge week this week. But he's third on tour in grid and regulations. He's fourth in hit fairways, ninth on approach, 14th approximate hole from 100 to 175, 23rd in par fours, 66 in scrambling, 96 birdie or better, and 114 strokes gained putting Bermuda. So we're talking about an approach game specialist here, a guy who finds every fairway and has approach numbers out the yin yang, so he can really do that. I just hope that he plays enough or has enough of the approach shots to get him close to make some putts to hang with him. Because that birdie or better at 96 is just about tour average there. So he'll need some luck on his side this week. 61st last week in Bermuda, 63rd in Mexico, 20th in Utah, Mystica at the Sanderson Farm, and 26th at Procore. Mystica here last year, fifth in 2023 though, so he has had a spike week at least at this golf course in years past or this golf venue, and he also missed a cut here in 2021. But a big number for a guy that stats tell me he can compete, and yeah, desperation on his side as well. He needs a big week to not dash his PGA Tour hopes and return to the Corn Ferry Tour next season.
Yeah, Nate, I love this shout out because if Ben Coles just catches lightning in a bottle on the greens with his putter, he has everything else to win here. And at 250 to 1, that is a massive number. So I like that call a lot.
Yeah, let's just hope that we can do a little sweating because 250 to 1 would be, way to cap a season with 250 to 1. That make the ROI look fantastic. I make myself look like a genius.
Exactly.
All right, I think your last guy's bigger than that even, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit. He was my champion of my card last week. I'm going back to the well here. Never thought I'd say this before. Jonathan Bird, 300 to 1. Again, he headlined my card last week, being the longest or second longest odds behind Austin Cook, who laid an egg. But he finished 14th at the Butterfield Bermuda Championship last week. He finished 19th the week before that at the Pro Court, and then 23rd at the Barracuda before that. So coming in on some solid form for a guy who's 300 to 1. He's played this tournament since its inception, I believe, every single year. He has two top 25 finishes. Um, I'm just kind of banking on the good form because he hits fairways, drains putts, and it looks like the irons are possibly turning a corner. We don't have all of the strokes gained data from his recent form, but just given the results, I have to imagine that the irons have to be at least slightly in the green or even. So, this guy he has a very, very good short game. So 300 to 1, I guess you can say I'm keeping my finger on the button here. Um, but yeah, big number.
Yeah, huge number. And again, compared to some of the guys I bet this week, he's got a better run of form coming in this week. And at a massive number, we'll see if one of the old heads here can get a victory here. I'm really surprised, Jake. I saw no Matt Kuchar on your card. He popped in my model, was on my short list. I never came around to a Matt Kuchar, but I'm rather surprised there as well.
I was gonna mention before we jumped here that if he wins, I need to reevaluate myself because I would be absolutely devastated. He does a lot of things well here, but the course history just wasn't
Yes,
there, and I
that's why.
wanted to take a couple more shots in the 70s and higher where I went to, Tagala, Valimaki instead of dipping down to that 50 again, where I can only maybe play one of those guys. Um, but, if Kuchar gets it done, I'll be happy for him, but I will be, in a little ball trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there's nothing worse in doing this than your guy that you back so many times getting a victory the week you stop betting him. It happens to me all the time at DP World Tour last year with Adrian Shader and Frederick LaCroix, like guys I bet routinely, and then the second I go off of them, they win. It happens all the time, and it is one of the most heartbreaking things there could possibly be.
Yeah, and look, he played consistently last week. He had, opening and closing rounds of 74. Like that's not great. He had a 66 on Friday to make the cut, and it wasn't good enough. And I know I love to say, oh, we'll throw the last round out. And if you look at his form coming into before the Butterfield, it's why I bet him at the Butterfield. So I don't know. I'm talking myself into just using some free play here on him, so I'm not too upset.
There we go. All right, Jake, anything to add before we hop off here?
No, I think we covered it all.
All right. Well, where to be finding on social media?
Yep, you can find me at the Jake Friedman on Twitter. Be sure to give me a follow and check out my RSM card that is already up. Be sure to join our Discord completely free to do so. Reach out to Nate or myself. We'll get you the link to get you in there. No hidden paywalls, access to everything in there. A group of 275 to 300 people to, I don't know, there's a lot of people in there. Just join. Everyone has a lot of information, good stuff to bring to the table. So again, be sure to join completely free. We will get you the link to join. Just reach out to us.
For sure. You can find myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Hit me up. Check out everything we have to offer out of the rough because there is a ton of stuff that is free at your fingertips, a ton of information, a ton of work that goes into this each and every week across multiple tours. So be sure to check that out. You'll find myself, I already mentioned that. Be sure to visit our website, ootrough.com, for all of our information, all of our free stuff on there, including articles, starting putting per grass type, the one and done, all that we found on our website. But yeah, until next time, guys, we'll see you.